Welcome everybody. I want to first acknowledge the land that I'm on, which is the ancestral land of the Ramaytush people, and specifically in Redwood City, where I live, the Lamshin tribelet of that native people. And I hope you are all interested maybe in exploring the natives' ancestral land that you are on, and contact me through my website, and I'll show you how to do that if you don't know how to do that. Today's meditation focus is on listening, and I was inspired to bring the Shema, so we'll focus on the Shema. For people who don't know that prayer, I'll introduce it to you. And we'll look at listening and the Shema, and then we'll do a listening meditation and say the Shema together as we can do it in this virtual time where you're all listening to me and you're muted. That's what we'll be doing together today. So the Shema, if you're not familiar with it, is central prayer in Judaism. And it's something that's recited every day. And I'll go through the words in Hebrew and translation in a few moments. And one way to look at it, there are many ways to look at it, but today we're going to look at the Shema as an invitation to listen and to listen more deeply. So in Hebrew, the words are Shema Yisrael, and then that four-letter name for God, for being this Yud He Vav He, which many people are used to saying Adonai, my God, but it's Yud He Vav He, and so I will say Yah. So Shema Yisrael, Yah Eloheinu, Yah Echad. And I'm going to translate those one at a time as we go through this, but let me start with Shema, because that's really the focus of today is Shema. And Shema is, if you remember old translation, it was hear. The phrase was, hear, O Israel, the Lord your God, the Lord is one. That's the old translation that many of us still resonates in our head. But Shema actually doesn't mean hear as much as it means listen. Very similar. But as a listening meditation, to think about using the Shema as a listening meditation, I thought that was a nice fit, because it actually does translate to listen. In Kabbalah, in mystical Judaism, the Shema is made up of three letters, Shin, Mem, Aleph. And in Kabbalah, these are considered the three mother letters. And so what does that mean? All other letters are kind of source out of them energetically, and they also represent the totality of creation. So the Shin is fire, and the Mem is water, and the Aleph is air. Another place in Kabbalah, the Aleph is all or everything, the Mem is the inner world, and the Shin is the outer world. So multiple times the Shin, Mem, and the Aleph that make up the word Shema are seen as this, the ground of everything. So it's a pretty powerful word, Hebrew word. And then looking at the actual syllables that come out of this Shin, Mem, Aleph, the first syllable is this sound, shh. And we know that as it is a universal sound for quietness. We all go shh when we're in the theater and somebody is talking or something like that. So it is this quieting. It's a be quiet, listen, pay attention, reduce your distraction sound. And that sound is made with teeth, tongue, and mouth. Just thought this was really interesting. So if nobody's listening, you can go ahead and try the shh sound, and you can see how you need to do a little something with your tongue. There's air coming through, and it's your teeth that are helping to make that sound. The second syllable is mm. You can try that syllable. And we know that also, that sound. Um, it's soothing. And what's really interesting is the sound is almost universally part of words for mother. So we have mother, mom, ima, ama, mom, madre, mama, mutter, more. All of the words, not in every language, but in most languages that are mother have that sound in them. So it's very primal, and it's connected with origin and with birth. And that sound is made in the vocal cords, and it's just this pure vibration. So you could try it out again. And you can feel how it's resonating in the throat. It's very soothing sound to be resonating in your body. Um, and then the last syllable is the ah sound, which the aleph has no sound. It's kind of back of the throat nothingness, but there's a vowel in it, so we get a ah. So sh, ah, that's the sound of Shema. And ah is a sound of satisfaction. We go, ah, I got it. Ah, that was great. Um, so we're using all different parts of the body to make Shema. We're doing, the tongue and the teeth and the lips and the vocal cords and the back of the throat, all to make this word Shema. So very resonant. And I want to give you a chance, even though nobody else will hear you, to say it along with me a few times. Let's do it a couple times. We'll go shh, ah. Feel how that feels in your body. Let's do it a couple more times. Shh, ah. Shh, ah. I think that's a meditation just in itself, just to say that word over and over. It's just really lovely. Um, so, listening and hearing, that's what Shema embodies. And what we know about hearing is it's the very first sense that we develop in the womb. So before we have taste and sight, we can hear as a fetus. And we also know it's the very last sense to fade at death. So even though somebody is not necessarily responsive, they can't see, they're not opening their eyes, they can still hear. So it is this sense of listening from birth to death. And the Shema that we do now as we're alive is to remind us to listen to the now. What is happening right now for me? What do I need to listen to um, in this moment that also is part of the full spectrum of my life? So that's just Shema. I spent the most time on Shema because that's really what we're doing. But I will go over the last four words, or the other four words. So we have Shema Yisrael. Yisrael was the name that was given to Jacob after he wrestled with angel, or you can interpret it wrestled with God, because Yisrael actually means one who wrestles with God. And before we were called Yehudim as a people, we were called B'nai Yisrael, children of Yisrael, God wrestlers. And so this is very much a part of the Jewish path and the Jewish faith, is to acknowledge that we wrestle. We wrestle with what is God, we wrestle with God, and it's very much accepted. In fact, it's appreciated, and questions versus answers are appreciated. Not that the answers aren't appreciated, but we really enjoy questions and mining things. So that sense of we are all Yisrael. And it's not just about whether you're Jewish or not, but that we're all wrestlers, that we all are not one or not, we're not all good or we're not all bad, that we're all wrestlers. We have everything inside of us. The third word, as well as the fifth word, is that Yud He Vav He, which I will say Yah for. And that is that ground of being, the name of God, that is beingness, that everything that is and was and will be is contained in that Yud Hey Vav Hey. Um, if you're new and you haven't done any Yud Hey Vav Hey meditations with me, you can go to the YouTube channel or go look at some of the past meditations, because it's a really beautiful concept. But I'm not going to be focusing on that today. But the sense of God as a name placeholder for something that is underpinning all that ever was and ever will be created, and that continues, and that connects us to past and present and future. And Yah is also very breathy. So it's like an out breath. It is an out breath. So when we say Yah, we're breathing out. We're breathing out our connection, our divinity into the greater divinity. And we are mixing it with all of the divine creation that is here now and that was and that will be. That all happens with our breath. So that's all held in Yah. Third word is Eloheinu, which means our God. So very collective. All of us, we're all Yah. We're all, Yah is for all of us. And then we repeat Yah again. So Shema Yisrael, Yah, Eloheinu, Yah. And then the last word is Echad, which means one. And so you can interpret Yah is one, Yud Hey Vav Hey is one, everything is one, and we are connected. We are that. We are part of oneness. So it's really a beautiful prayer if you, especially if you take some time to really think about it. And so I'm going to say it a few times, and I would love for you in your mutedness to say it with me. The first time we'll say it as it is written, and then the second time, I want you to get rid of Yisrael and put your own name in. So to like, you are Yisrael, you are the one who wrestles with listening to that oneness and being that oneness. So here we go. Shema Yisrael, Yah, Eloheinu, Yah, Echad. And now insert your name for Yisrael. Shema, Wendie, Yah, Eloheinu, Yah, Echad. I offer that as a beautiful spiritual practice. Anytime think of it as a mini meditation, to do something like that. So I'm going to also invite you. This is a listening meditation. So if you want to listen to the outside world a little bit more than you normally do when you're meditating, and you have a window nearby and you want to get up and open that window, you can do that. It's not necessary. It will bring in potentially noise that is more distracting, and that's fine. When we're doing a listening meditation, we're trying to actually listen through anything that is challenging as well as anything that might be enticing. We want to listen to all. And if you want to listen quietly and keep your window closed, or if there's no window close to you, or it's just no, it doesn't make sense, that's fine too. But you could try this another time outside or with a window open as well. So what I'm going to do to start us is I'm going to be chanting the Shema a few times as our chant. And then we'll move into the meditation and I'll guide you through it. And then lead you for a certain period of time to simply listen. And then we'll come back and I'll ring a wake up bell and a couple of gongs to bring us back. And then I have a short reading. Shema Yisrael, Ya Eloheinu, Ya Echad. 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 Either close your eyes or gently focus somewhere, a soft gaze that's not too distracting. Notice your breath in your body. Notice your inhale and the chest and the belly expanding, and the exhale, shoulders softening, belly softening. Noticing your sit bones and root them down into the chair. Not overstretching, but just simply noticing the spine, trying to keep it a little more erect so that you don't collapse in. Allowing the breath to flow naturally in and out, up and down, deeply into the lungs, and letting it go with every exhale. If you want to set a personal intention for your own listening, you can do that now. I intend to, whatever words come to you, or I open to. And as you breathe with each breath, imagining your consciousness like a pebble being dropped into a pond, and just slowly, gently quieting as it sinks a little bit deeper with each breath. When we notice the body, the softness of the front of the body, expanding as we breathe and contracting as we exhale. We notice the strength in the back of the body, the spine, and whatever is touching the chair that we're sitting on, in the back, holding both strength and softness at the same time. Breathing in, follow your breath from the beginning to the end of the breath. And breathing out, also following it to the end of the exhale. And on your next breath in, envisioning yourself as a stable, sturdy mountain. And on your next exhale, as being part of a vast ocean of breath. And so we move the attention to the sounds around you, noticing as they occur and change, trying not to name them in the mind or analyze them, but simply to let them in, to listen with wide open awareness, letting them touch your eardrums. If there's no sound, listening to and resting in the silence and the quiet. And listening to internal sounds, whatever those may be for you. As you listen, notice how a sound arises and then disappears. Trying not to grasp at any particular sounds that may be sweet, like birds, or trying to reject any sounds like leaf blowers or construction or traffic. Let them all be. Be curious and aware about each sound or blends of sounds. Open yourself wide up to the symphony of the world that is around you and in you in this moment. And if you find that your mind wanders away from listening in this way, simply bring it back on the next breath, listening to what sounds are presenting themselves to you in the next 15 minutes. So I'm going to read from poet David Wagoner's poem Lost. And yes, I will send this out on the email list. David is a 94-year-old poet who lives in the Pacific Northwest. And he wrote this poem called Lost, which came out in a compilation of collected poems in 1999. So it's at least 20 years old. Stand still. The trees ahead and the bushes beside you are not lost. Wherever you are is called here, and you must treat it as a powerful stranger, must ask permission to know it and be known. The forest breathes. Listen, it answers. I have made this place around you. If you leave it, you may come back again, saying, here. No two trees are the same to raven. No two branches are the same to wren. If what a tree or a bush does is lost on you, you are surely lost. Stand still. The forest knows where you are. You must let it find you. I wanted to read that poem to you to remember that if we stand still and listen, we are able to, there are delights that are waiting for us to hear them. And I haven't done a listening meditation in a very long time. I feel like it's been a few years, so that was really quite wonderful for me to do with all of you. And so, in the way that I like to close and to thank you all for your presence. Actually, before I do that, there's a couple of reflection questions for those of you that are watching this on the live stream or watching this later in the recording. You may want to notice both positive and negative habits that you might have discovered about your listening, whatever that means to you, and reflect on how you might listen a little bit more fully, a little bit more spaciously. I found it amazing that the clock in my office, there were times that I could hear it and there were times that I couldn't, and it's making the same noise every tick. So just that awareness of what we pay attention to, what we listen to, and what we don't listen to is a great mindfulness practice. And so thank you for your time. Those of us that are on the Zoom can stick around and share and comment and ask questions. But those of you that are leaving, oh my gosh, yes, I did start. I was like, I didn't start the stream. No, I see it. I did start the stream. It's just in a different place. Those of you that are leaving us on the live stream and watching this in the recording, we thank you for being with us today. And the divine in me salutes the divine in you and say, B'Tselem Yah, you are made in the image of Yah, of the ground of being that many name God. B'Tselem Yah.